People of the internet, welcome back to another video. It is I, Don Thomas, back in here with another one. As always, folks, the likes, the comments, the subscribes are all greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for the support on this channel. Without further adu, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic, folks. Got a video pulled up here. It comes from Fox News, in which they titled the video, ICE announces 1,200 plus migrant arrests in weekend raids. Of course, you know, President Donald Trump is now officially the president here in the United States. Trump has had lofty goals, as you can say, in terms of attacking a lot of different areas. Of course, you've seen some of the things, the executive orders that he's already signed off on. And he's wasting no time, it seems like. This is only week 2 in his presidency. We're seeing a lot of action behind the words that he's been preaching so far. And the situation of immigration has been one of them. Mass deportations. You've been hearing about this. We've been hearing for some time. Well before even Trump was in office, we've been hearing about these illegal migrants, flooding cities, being dumped off, taken wherever from Mexico, wherever they're coming from, dumped off in these cities. And the narrative out there is that they're causing havoc. So I want to watch this clip. I want to get a little bit more insight, of course, as some of the things that have been happening. I want to share my thoughts. I encourage you guys to share your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let's get into it.
Sure. Thanks, guys. Well, the crackdown is coming into focus under President Trump's direction. ICE is racking up thousands of arrests, and this as we enter week 2 of Trump 2.0. Good morning. I'm Dana Perino. Bill is off today. Good morning, Sandra.
It's great to be with you, Dana. Thanks for having me. I'm Sandra Smith. This is America's Newsroom. It was a busy weekend for sure for ICE, the agency arresting nearly 300 illegal immigrants on Saturday alone and nearly 1,000 on Sunday. ICE also lodging nearly 800 detainers, which means there is probable cause to deport. And according to Border Czar Tom Homan, this is only the beginning.
Yes, but you're going to see the number steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture. Right now it's concentrating public safety threats, national security threats. That's a smaller population. So we're going to do this on priority base, as President Trump's promised, but as that aperture opens, there'll be more arrests nationwide.
And we are getting a look at how these deportations are being carried out. You can see agents loading criminal migrants onto a military plane there, the flight bound for their country of origin.
One South American leader tried to turn away those flights, but he quickly reversed that policy after a fierce response from President Trump. We have more on that as we go to Peter Doocy. He's live at the White House for us. What a weekend it was, Peter.
And Sandra, this weekend, for a few hours at least, the Colombian president was really dug in against President Trump, and he was explaining in public why Colombia was not going to accept 2 U.S. military planes full of Colombians who had entered the United States illegally. The president said at one point, the U.S. cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals. I deny the entry of American planes carrying Colombian migrants into our territory. The United States must establish a protocol for the dignified treatment of migrants before we receive them. But then came a 25% tariff threat that would rise to 50% after a week, and suddenly 180 degrees different. Part of the news statement said this: the president provides a presidential plane for the dignified return of his fellow citizens and will lead efforts at the Extraordinary Assembly of CELAC. Caroline Leavitt, the new press secretary, said in part the fully drafted IEEPA tariffs and sanctions will be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement. The visa sanctions issued by the State Department and enhanced inspections from Customs and Border Protection will remain in effect until the first plane load of Colombian deportees is successfully returned. The new president wants to deport people back to their countries of origin. These tariff threats are a way to try to keep that process moving, and that's not going to stop.
If you have a person who is convicted of a violent crime, whether they're an illegal immigrant or a non-illegal immigrant, you have to go and get that person to protect the public safety. That's not unique to immigration.
Just pause it right there. So there you heard it, folks. Trump has wasted no time and seen to it that illegal migrants return to their countries of origin. Here's my thoughts, folks. I've been seeing a lot of discourse, of course, online. People that are for this, people that are against this. And my thoughts are this, right? To be honest, I haven't put too much thought into it, but I have been seeing it being a prevalent topic as of late. So I kind of want to digest it now and try to be as unbiased as possible. Of course, being somebody that is a U.S. citizen, of course, have parents that are U.S. citizens as well too. But of course, we're foreign immigrants, man. I hail from, my roots lie in Sierra Leone, West Africa, for those of you that may not know. Family members, this, that, and the other, people have come over to this country and made something of themselves, right? And worked out just fine. I want to be able to understand the middle ground, essentially, is what I'm saying. Now, again, you're hearing that these people are coming over and causing crimes. They're causing havocs here in the streets of these cities, these towns in the United States, right? Then, of course, you hear the Colombian president saying, nah, man, hey, there has to be a more civil way for you to gather up the migrants from our country before you send them back over here. I thought that was interesting as well, too, that the Colombian president was hesitant at first to accept his own citizens back in his country. Saying that he refused to accept these people under these conditions, what are the cases, because we were dropping them back over in their country by the boatload, by the plane load, I guess you could say, and he had some problem with that, of course, and then Trump was going to raise tariffs from 25 to 50%, and then he had a change in tune in doing so, in saying so, I guess you could say. I'll say this. Do I agree that illegal migrants that are solely coming over here to commit crimes, again, assuming that's their intentions, to leaving their country, coming to the United States to commit crimes, is that a problem? Yes, it is. Is it a problem that illegal migrants are coming over here? Again, we're speaking illegally. Illegal migrants are coming to the United States and taking resources, or whatever the case is. Yeah, I can see the concern. What I don't want to happen is this, and I think that I think it's been happening. I think it's going to be happening more. What I fear in this whole migrant situation and foreigners coming to the United States, I feel like just discrimination around the board, whether you're illegal or legal here in America, is going to grow because of this situation. I see a world here in America where if you come across somebody who has an accent from whatever country, an African accent, Hispanic accent, anything that's not good, pure old American, I see a world where discrimination starts to rise because a person doesn't speak fluent English. Before we even know their, immigration status, whether they can be born here, born and raised here, whether they can, have came and got their citizenship, whatever the case is, I feel like we might see a rise in, let's just call it blatant racism and discrimination for foreigners who maybe came here on solid means. I'm talking about the people who did come here with solid means, whether it's, better education, better their lives, whatever their reason for coming here. I feel like the people who did come to this country, did all the protocol, passport, this, all the other, everything they had to do, got the citizenship, I feel like they too might run into some situation because their English isn't as fluent or they don't look a certain way, whatever the case is. That's my fear. And again, that's been a thing that's been happening well before these immigration situations have been taking place, whatever the case is. So, another thing which I thought was interesting as well too, and let's just keep it real, let's call a spade, is the labor market, right? Let's just keep it real. We do know there's certain areas, there's certain realms within the workforce that foreigners are more willing to do, right? Not necessarily saying better, some could even say they're better at doing, but we could say they're more willing to do, i.e. construction, i.e., these, maybe restaurants, maybe, dishwashers, whatever the case is. I'm not trying to stereotype whatever the case is, but there's certain areas where construction, landscaping, just different sectors within the workforce that we can argue and say foreigners are more willing to do than us U.S. citizens. So if we gather them all up and send them back to their country, again, assuming these are people, they're calling them illegal, but if we're gathering up a good chunk of the workforce or the willingness of the workforce and sending them back to their country, what does that mean for the labor market here in the United States? Now, here, some people, oh, nah, man, but they're still illegal, man. Nah, man, go through the proper protocol. Go through the proper protocol. Yeah, you would be right. You would be right. Hear me out. You would be right in saying so. I do think I did a video some time ago as well, too, where I was more so speaking to, I forgot what the title of that video was, but I remember kind of speaking on this before in terms of people fleeing their countries from brutal circumstances and trying to find safe harbor here in the United States. I think that's what I'm for, right? I don't want to assume that everybody that's fleeing their country is coming here solely to cause crimes. Maybe some people are. Maybe there's some people that are fleeing their country to come here to just cause havoc. Maybe that could indeed be true. But some people are literally coming here because they're trying to flee circumstances that are 10 times worse than what we're going through here in the United States. Some people come to the United States to literally start a family, have good education, access to resources, this, that, and the other. So in those situations, I do want to make sure that we're not blurring the line between the people that are coming here with good intentions versus the people that are not, right? Again, growing up as somebody who has, grew up, minority, grew up with minorities, foreigners, this, that, and the other, I do know it's possible to come to this land of opportunity here in the United States and make something of yourself and have access to resources and have access to, just things that you probably wouldn't have had in your origin country. And it worked out just fine for a lot of different people. Now, again, I do know ICE has been cracking down as of late. I've seen them being ruthless in terms of going to schools. They're gathering up everybody, man. Again, this is just in 2 weeks. In the 2 weeks that Trump has been in office, this past weekend, of course, this clip was speaking to just this past weekend with these weekend raids. Upwards of 1,200 plus detainees are just, gatherings, I guess. So they're detaining people and they're actually arresting people and shipping them back to where they came from. Are all of those detainees criminals? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not too sure. Are there actually people that have been here for some time that might get caught in the crosshairs of this whole situation? Again, I think I'm seeing some situations where whether you have citizenship, whether you don't have citizenship, whatever the case is, that you're still liable to at least maybe even be questioned, even if you're somebody that's been here for some time. So that's just what I want to be mindful of. I think my whole takeaway in this whole situation, man, is just like, let's be mindful and let's make sure we're implementing systems in place, again, as just regular citizens, and then I guess our government or these official, agencies, whatever the case is, well, too. Let's see to it that we're doing a good job, maybe us as citizens, as not discriminating against people because of their accent, because they're not American born, right? As citizens, I want us to at least agree to that, right? Just because you come across somebody who doesn't speak fluent English, let's not assume that they're here illegally, right? Let's not discriminate and scrunch up our faces and be cold, which I do know Americans are capable of doing. Let's not blur these lines with foreigners because of the things that we're hearing about these illegal migrants and this ICE raids and this, that, and I think that's the major takeaway for me. Again, I do hear the argument of both sides, people that are coming here committing crimes, this, that, and the other. I do get that. We want our streets to be safe, right? I think America has enough problems within itself and the people within this country, as opposed to having more problems coming internationally and adding fuel to the fire, as they would say. So I do hear both sides. I just want to make sure us as citizens, right, us amongst ourselves, let's at least make sure that we're being mindful, right, that not everybody's coming over here to cause terror and havoc. Some people are really coming over here to start a good life, have some opportunity for their family, do whatever they got to do. Those are my thoughts, folks. Of course, I want to hear yours down in the comment section below. As always, the likes, the comments, the subscribes are all greatly appreciated. I will catch you on the next one.